that time, we hold another session on parliamentary-related activities around the world, from talks at the Africa Climate Summit to the convening of young parliamentarians in Vietnam. It has been a roller coaster, sort of. Hello there, this is Global Parliament from the stables of the largest television network in Africa. I am talking about the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, and my name is Vivian Idekpefo. Together, we shall trail the world of Parliament as we curate information that makes for better understanding of the works of parliamentarians, while keeping abreast of major developments on the news segment. Be assured that this program is all about you and everything Parliament. We begin the business of the day with the news highlights. Ene Ojonuwa takes it from here.
The House of Representatives says it is prepared to make a great difference in lawmaking, representation and oversight to justify the confidence Nigerians repose in the legislature. Speaker of the House, Tajuddin Abbas, stated this during a meeting with the United Nations Development Programme and other technical partners of the Nigerian legislature.
To us, as the representatives of the people, institution building is the gateway to professionalism, efficiency and productivity. We are committed to ensuring that the 10th House of Representatives can respond to the yearnings and expectations of the citizen.
The creation of this program management unit is something that we really welcome. I think to be able to kind of articulate where your priorities lie and to then have a unit that is actually can maybe further expand those and also coordinate the work of the international community.
Along building democratic and accountable institutions that work for Nigerians. And our development priorities are aptly captured in your legislative agenda.
Political accountability in Ghana has received a boost with the launch of the Political Accountability Project, POLA. The POLA project is expected to advance the cause of democracy and political accountability, funded by the International Republican Institute, USAID, and other development partners, is expected to run for 4 years. African parliamentarians have committed to participate in the inaugural Accountability Summit for Parliamentarians at COP28, which aims to oversee progress and facilitate enhancements in line with the commitments at the Africa Climate Summit in Nairobi, Kenya. These commitments at the Parliamentarian Dialogue, which held at the sidelines of the 2023 Africa Climate Summit, clarify the importance of the role of legislators and their understanding of the subject. It also helps to strengthen their action and enthusiasm for climate governance and its processes. It culminated with the adoption of an outcome statement, which highlights key actions and findings of the dialogue, while reaffirming parliamentarians' commitment to climate action, promotion of international collaboration, and pledge to increase accountability and monitoring. Parliamentarians across the world converge on Geneva, headquarters of the World Trade Organization, WTO, to reflect upon the functioning of the multilateral trading system and explore avenues to strengthen global trade as an engine of resilient economies. Under the auspices of the Interparliamentary Union and the European Parliament, the Parliamentary Conference on World Trade Organization is an ongoing process to mobilize parliamentary engagement in the work of the World Trade Organization, WTO, and enhance implementation of global trade commitments. As representatives of the people, parliamentarians have a prerogative to provide meaningful contributions to the promotion of trade and ensure it is beneficial to all. For over 20 years now, the Interparliamentary Union, IPU, and the European Parliament have been leading the PCWTO. The theme for this year's WTO parliamentary session is making trade work for the environment, the role of parliamentarians. ECOWAS Parliament Committee on Political Affairs, Peace, Security, an African Peer Review Mechanism (APRM), Senator Edwin Melvin Snow Jr. has held a joint oversight mission to Dakar, Senegal. The delegation, led by the chairman of the committee, Senator Edwin Melvin Snow Jr., conducted a parliamentary oversight on the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, GIABA, and the ECOWAS Gender Development Center, EGDC. The leader of the Liberian delegation to the community parliament noted that the interactive session with both institutions was very enriching and provided a clearer perspective about their mandates, activities, and challenges. The oversight provided an opportunity for the ECOWAS Parliament to enhance its capacity to formulate policies to achieve goals and support regional integration, peace, and stability.
Thank you, Ene, for the updates. In the last session, I did promise to tell the difference between a bicameral and unicameral legislature, also called the parliament. Simply put, the unicameral legislature consists of one legislative chamber, as in the case of Denmark and Ghana, while the bicameral parliament consists of two legislative chambers, as it is found in Nigeria and the United States of America. One chamber is referred to as the House of Representatives, and the other is called the Senate. You want to know more, right? Stay tuned to this channel and on this program. Have you heard about the Pan-African Parliament, also referred to as the PAP or the PAP? How much do you understand about its functions? Do you know your country representatives to the Pan-African Parliament? The questions are endless, no doubt. Well, the Pan-African Parliament is an arm of the African Union. It was set up to ensure the full participation of the African people in the economic development and integration of the continent. In the next segment, Honorable Mubarak Muntaka, a member of the Ghana Parliament to the Pan-African Parliament, speaks to issues as they relate to the People's Parliament. Take a listen. You're welcome to the segment one-on-one on Global Parliament, and on this episode we have with us Honorable Mubarak Muntaka. He is the chairperson of the Monetary and Financial Affairs Committee of the Pan-African Parliament. He is also a member of the West African Caucus and a member of Parliament from Ghana. Honorable Muntaka, we welcome you to the program Global Parliament.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, so let's talk about the inauguration of the Pan-African Parliament. That is June 2022. The Pan-African Parliament did embark on a renewal and reinvigoration process. Now, how far have you come and what progress have you made as an institution in becoming more relevant to the citizens of the continent?
Well, let me thank you for this opportunity and say that the Pan-African Parliament was Nigeria in 2004, and it started in 2006, and the hope was that in 5 years they were going to be able to make it really continental parliament. Unfortunately, after 5 years, we were still at the advisory level. And I remember very well, some of us were then there around 2010. We started putting pressure on the heads of state. So in Malabo, we got another protocol, but that protocol requires that 28 member countries must ratify to enable the Pan-African Parliament to really be the true, legislative house of the continent. Unfortunately, down the line, we are almost over a decade now, we are still struggling to get the 28 signatures. As we and I speak, we have 15 members that have ratified and signed the protocol. We are still having 13 membership to go to enable us attain the full anticipation of the African leaders and to enable us truly be the true representative of the African people. Currently, as you may know, we are sent by each country's assembly. So, for example, Nigeria will send 5 members, Ghana sends 5 members, 5 membership. All the African countries, the 54 that are democratically elected and have a democratic parliament, will send 5 reps. That's how we're working. And all so far, our work has always been advisory. What it means is that whatever decision that we take, whatever resolutions that we take, cannot be binding on the African member states. It can only be an advice to the African member state. And I can tell you, we have done a lot of model laws. We've done model law on what do you call it, human trafficking. We've done model law on food and medicine. We've done model cooperatives in Africa. We are working on model law on factoring and other model laws that we've been doing. Periodically, we try to intervene when there are issues. We go for election observer missions in elections to also observe elections. We do come out with solution when things are going wrong. I mean, the recent issue of Niger, you see that Pan-African Parliament have issued a statement, and it is our wish we could even move in. But as you know, the security situation now, as the ECOWAS leaders are handling it, it will be very volatile for parliamentarians to be able to step foot into Niger. So there are a number of things that we've been doing. But let me just give you one clear example of one of the distinguished work that we did. In 2017, when the American sanction on Sudan got to its apex, and students in Sudan were really struggling, medicine was difficult to acquire in Sudan, Pan-African Parliament set up an observer mission. We went to Sudan, we visited all the regions. Graciously, I was one of the 7 members. We visited and talked to students, we spoke to people at the hospital, we took short videos of them and what have you. Then in 2017, September, we were in the United States of America. We met the Senate, we met the House of Reps, and we met the Congressional Black Caucuses. We explained to them how the sanction was affecting the ordinary citizens in Sudan. Even though then President Trump was the president, then we met the Wilson Foundation. We asked all the questions, we showed them all the evidence, the videos, the interviews that we've granted. The sanction on Sudan was lifted upon the work that Pan-African Parliament did. This is not very known to many people. So these are some of the things that we've been doing in the Pan-African Parliament. Even though we are still at the advisory level, it is our hope that if we get the 13 more members, then we'll become a fully fledged parliament where the ordinary citizens in Africa, like you and I, will get the opportunity to elect directly representatives to go and represent us in the African Parliament. And I'm sure that's when probably our presence will be felt more.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Mubarak, for that insight into the workings of the Pan-African Parliament. In the course of throwing light on what the Pan-African Parliament did, you did mention the interventions of PAP in Sudan 2017. And I'm wondering if with the constraints that PAP has now, considering that the protocol has not been ratified in several countries or several member states, what could be the possible reason that is stopping member states from ratifying the protocol to give the Pan-African Parliament the authority, the power it requires, to act on its mandate as a legislative body and not just advisory?
Some of these questions are best posted to those who have not rectified. But one of the things that, for me, is that the unity of Africa, sometimes I ask, is this something that all of us truly believe that we must be united? Is this something that we really believe? Because if we believe that our destiny are tied together, and the only way we'll be able to achieve prosperity and safeguard our continent is when we are united. And we all agree our heads and state goals to agree, and they cannot follow up to rectify, to give us a voice, the ordinary citizens of Africa a voice. Then I begin to ask the commitment of those countries that have not rectified themselves. Because you see, my sister, let me give you a typical example. The beacon of democracy is parliament. If you don't have a legislative body, whatever you have, you can call it whatever, but that will not reflect a true democracy. Because as you may know, in a military dictatorship, there's a resemblance of the executives, where people function like executives. Even if it is a martial court, there's a resemblance of the judiciary. What is lacking is a parliament. So if these countries that have not rectified truly believe that we need to be democratic in Africa. We need to be united and have our people be able to crisscross the continent without much limitations. I don't understand why they are not rectifying. Ghana has rectified because we believe in the Pan-Africanism, and we sincerely believe that Africa needs to unite. That's the only way our destiny we can really achieve the objective for which probably we also live in this part of the world. But is it the same with many African countries? I believe some others believe that they have more pressing problems than talking about the unity of Africa. But you see, one of the interesting things is that it is in unity that will, in the diverse unity, that will find our strength and energy to be able to solve our numerous problems. You will see what's happening, say, in South Africa, xenophobic attacks. You see a lot of things that are happening in other parts of the continent. And so long as we do not look inwardly, whether as Nigeria or Ghana or Sierra Leone or Libya or Morocco and what have you, but we see ourselves as one people, I'm sure it will be easier for us to rectify this and be able to get the continent, the people of the continent, the true voice that they deserve. Because it is through this continental parliament that we may be able to have an African Union passport where the citizens will be able to move freely. It is through this union that will begin to table the issues that concerns us in our various countries that probably will get to know exactly how those countries are being run and be able to even avoid some of the coup d'etats that we are seeing. Because if there's a platform where, for example, people from Mali or Burkina Faso or Niger or Chad or Sudan or can air their voice and tell the rest of the Africa the challenges that confront them. And so we'll be able to address them. We'll be able to send missions to see what the challenges are and how it can be dealt with. I'm sure it is true that we can prevent the coup d'etats. If we continue to live inwardly, every African country thinks that, oh, no, they just want to remain in the silos. It will be very difficult. So if I'm asked, why are other African countries not rectifying the protocol? That would be very difficult for me because if Ghana hadn't rectified, maybe I could provide some reasons. But my belief is that they think that they have more pressing issues than about unity of Africa. But in my view, the unity of Africa comes first and all other things come second. Because if we are united and you are moving from Nigeria, I mean, look at the distance from, say, Accra to Lagos. It is shorter than when I'm traveling to the middle part of Ghana because it takes virtually about 40 minutes to fly from Accra to Ghana. But yet, the moment I fly from Accra to Lagos, I'm on roaming, and the network will have to charge me roaming fee. That is a cheat because you can fly from New York to California, which is far about 10 times the distance between Accra and Lagos, but you are on the same network and you don't get charged additional. If we are united, all these things will be dealt with because we'll have a parliament that will raise all these issues and we'll be able to deal with it. I mean, look at what we are doing with AFTA. I don't know whether maybe you even have a question on that. We are trying to create a Pan-African payment settlement system where you can make payments for goods and services that you buy within the continent. Say, if I want to buy something from Nigeria, I just pay with my Ghana cedis. You receive your Naira without necessarily struggling to go and look for a dollar or a pound or a euro to make that transaction. We are trying to create that. How can we create the awareness? It is when we have a parliament, a continental parliament, where these issues are discussed and thoroughly examined, then it's carried to the national parliament. Then people get to know and be able to hook on to the PAPS. That's the Pan-African Payment Settlement System. That will enable us move away from this dollarization that is creating problems for our economies within the Africa. But if people don't see that the unity is the one that's supposed to come first and all the other things will follow, but think that, oh no, let's do other things before we get united. Believe me, our founding fathers have been doing this for the past 60 years. And unfortunately, we are still where we are because since 1963, African leaders have been struggling to unite the continent. But this same attitude, let's do other things before we unite, has kept us where we are. And I believe those countries that have not rectified, it would be good to get a member from one of those countries and ask them, why are they not rectifying? When their heads of state went into this meeting and agreed that we should create a continental parliament that will create a voice for the ordinary citizen.
Honorable, you have spoken at length, so many issues that you have touched, and then you answered my question on after, so we will let go of after, but you did talk about coup d'etat in Africa. And so I've come to the question about the theme for last year, the African Union theme for last year, which was silencing the guns. And we seem to be witnessing a new wave, so to speak, about coup d'etats in Africa. I mean, just recently we are still talking about Niger, and then there are reports from Central African Republic as well. So how is your caucus, the West African caucus, working with stakeholders to address governance issues facing the region, especially with regards to silencing the guns?
My sister, let me say, it's very disappointing. It's very, very disappointing that we are not able to silence, we've not been able to silence the gun. In fact, the gun silence have increased. And now we are even seeing new waves of coup d'etats across the continent, which is really not speaking well. And let's call a spade a spade. Since we started this drive for massive democratization across Africa, are the citizens of Africa seeing the true dividend of democracy? So the dividend of democracy is something that we need to focus on. And my sister, let me be brutally frank with you. Three things affect us in Africa. And if we don't work on those three things, it will be very, very, very difficult for the true dividend of democracy to fall. One of it is negative ethnicity. I mean, we forget that we are one people. God has created us with different languages, tribes, so that we'll get to diversify and even know each other better. Unfortunately, we are reducing this ethnocentrism to a point where it's becoming negative to our collective survival. Why am I saying this? We elect people not on the basis of what they are capable of doing. We are electing them because they belong to us. They are one of us. Regardless of whether they are capable of doing delivering or not, all we simply do is to elect them because they are one of us. And then we also think that one tribe just think that they are superior than others, or they are more in numbers, and therefore they must have everything. And if you belong to that group, anything you want, even whether for right reasons or wrong, you must get it. Once we have this kind of negative ethnicity that exists among us as Africans, we will not be able to get the true dividend of democracy, because the dividend of democracy is to create an environment that you create a free and just society. A free and just society is one that every citizen of the country or continent can aspire to be anything that he or she wants without any limitation. If you have to go to university, you don't need to get somebody before you get admission. If there are job opportunity, it is open. The best person gets it, not because you are the father, your father is this, or you are from this tribe, or this is the person that you know. The second thing, which is almost similar to the negative ethnicity, is religious intolerance. There is so much religious discrimination among us, to the extent that we seem to place the religious differences of our religion above our nationality. You cannot have a dividend of democracy if you think that way. If you live in a society, take Christianity, take Buddhism, take Islam. Each and every one of them had one golden rule. And that golden rule, if all of us were to adhere to that golden rule, we will live in a free and just society. And it's simple: do unto others what you want others to do unto you. For I'm not a very good person to quote the Bible, but I'm told in the Bible it is said, Christ said, love thy neighbor as thyself. It does not talk about love thy Christian neighbor as thyself. Islam, we are told that the Prophet Muhammad has said that you will never be a believer until you wish for your neighbor what you wish for yourself. This golden rule is something that all of us have neglected, regardless of our religion. We always think that we must feel supreme. We must suppress all others who do not belong to our faith. All other faith are that and are this. With this kind of mindset, when people get authority, they take that beyond the authority that they have and still do things to favor unnecessarily their faith. That is the second. And the last one, that these two things feed to the third one, which is massive corruption. So the simple thing is that if I'm in Nigeria, if I'm from the northern Nigeria and I'm predominantly Muslim, when I'm corrupt, all the Muslims will rather around me. if I'm predominantly in the South, because predominantly Christians, if I'm a Christian and I do the wrong thing, everybody will rally against around me. In Ghana, we have a tribe that have a saying that once you struggle to bring something home, you should not be rejected. Nobody talks about what the thing that you are bringing. Are you bringing a legitimate good? What you are bringing, is it legitimate? Nobody talks about legitimacy. All we want is that you bring it. Once you are one of our own, when you bring it, then that's it. And you know this mentality, it is our turn. It is our turn to do what? Our turn to chop, our turn to share, our turn to loot, our turn. So once we have this kind of mentality as Africans, it will be very difficult for the ordinary citizens to have the dividend. Without the dividend of democracy, believe me, these adventurous military guys will always succeed, because once they strike, they will get people to support them because of the bitterness and the pain. Look at the youth that are trooping Europe and America. Look at some of the things, the risks they take to cross the continent into other continents. It is simple because we are not getting the dividend of democracy. So our emphasis as a continental parliament is to draw home attention of excesses that are happening in various countries, discuss them at the continental level, have a resolution. When it becomes necessary, move into that country, go and hold a press conference, try to meet the leaders, so that if there are dividends of democracy that is shared, obviously you silence the gun. But if you don't do the things that creates the guns, the noise of the gun, and we reduce everything to slogan, we will speak and speak and speak and give all manner of slogans. We will not achieve much because the guns will continue to reign.
Well, Honorable Muntaka, we hope that as you work in Parliament for the greater good of the people, the guns will eventually be silenced, or at least silenced to the barest minimum. I'm afraid our time is up, and so I will have to let you go, but be rest assured, we will come back to you at the slightest opportunity we have. We thank you so much for coming on the program Global Parliament on NTA, that is the Nigerian Television Authority. And of course, we are the largest television network in Africa. Thank you so much for coming on the program Global Parliament.
Thank you very much for this opportunity for Pan-African Parliament to be known and some of its work to be known. We hope that you will continue to be an advocate for the Pan-African Parliament, so that the African people will have two representatives that represent them at the continental level. Thank you very much for having me, and have a great day.
Thank you so much, Honorable, and do have a wonderful day yourself. Thank you. And so the program Global Parliament continues shortly. On that note, we adjourn this session of Global Parliament. Remember to engage with us on the social media handles on your screen. Till we come again next week, on behalf of the production crew, I am Vivian Udefefo. Many thanks for engaging.